It's time once again for another episode of Comin' At Ya. Comin' At Ya, a podcast about the world of mixed martial arts, boxing, pro wrestling, Comin' At Ya, and heavy metal music, with a slice of comedy for good measure. Comin' At Ya.
Now we're back.
You're lucky that the train almost left the station without you there.
Dude, I had to make pee-pee. What am I supposed to do?
Your brother didn't want to do it. He's like, I can't start it. I said,
he trust me, he was in all in.
I was like, you start this shit right now without him.
So episode
196. We're
196.
Inching closer to episode 200. The big 200 extravaganza.
And what are we going to do for 200?
I'd like to have a big party, like a live show somewhere.
I would like to have a live show as well. I think we should maybe rent a facility somewhere.
We should have dancers.
I don't know if I have dancers, but maybe a facility somewhere, like a bar or something, and have a bunch of people there.
Live bands.
Yeah. Can you turn the background just hair? Just a hair. Guy's asking that much. Who's the show brought to us by?
Jack Daniels.
And tell us a little bit about Jack Daniels.
Well, Jack Daniels gets me through my workday. And
do you drink on the job?
No.
It gets you through your workday when you get home.
Yeah.
It heals you from your workday.
I feel that my job should pay for either my whiskey or my alcohol counseling.
Like when they're handing you your bag of tools on the way out the door in the morning, they should hand you a bottle as well.
Fuck a Thanksgiving turkey. Just get me a case of whiskey.
So Jack Daniels, also brought to us by Leatherman Tools.
I use it every day. I would say the two tools that I use the most.
Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels and my Leatherman tool.
And Leatherman Tools. Also brought to us by Netflix.
I have one episode left in The Defenders.
I started to watch that.
Yeah.
Again, the fucking, what's his name, Iron Fist?
Yeah.
Lost me right away.
Yeah, but they kind of tease and
I didn't make
and
it through the first episode.
No, it gets really good.
That's how much that dude annoys me.
It gets really good. Well, they kind of joke about how annoying he is.
I am looking forward to Stranger Things.
Season 2?
Season 2, and that comes out on Halloween. Did you watch the first one?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
I did.
Well, then why aren't you excited about the next one coming out?
You ever have like a love-hate?
You don't know why.
I do.
No, tell me.
I feel like...
You don't know why.
I feel like
you don't know why.
There was nothing original about it. They just basically aped shit from other cool stuff.
Did you say aped?
Yeah, aped it. Like they stole it. They copied it.
Is that what apes do?
Yeah, like they aped it. Like you just like cop their shit. They're swagger jackers.
Swagger jackers?
They swagger jacked all the cool shit from the 80s.
And that was the whole intention, though.
I guess.
It wasn't like they were trying to camouflage it in any way.
I'll be there opening day watching it.
Yeah, you're going to watch the whole thing. But
I probably will.
Halloween night, as soon as I get done trick-or-treating, bam. Going to watch.
Yeah.
Have you been watching Ozark?
No, not yet. That's next.
That's not bad. Todd?
I have not seen Ozark yet.
I'm 3 episodes in. Actually, I'm 4 episodes in. I turned my wife onto the show, but somehow she's, again, 7 episodes in. Which just fucking irritates the fuck out of me.
Have you ever gone and you hit the next one and you realize that, what the hell happened?
Yeah,
I
did it last night.
Yeah, I
to
just
watch
imagine her just like, fuck that motherfucker.
I said to her, I said, I went to bed early because the kids had school today. And I said, you know what? Let's catch up on an episode. And I turned it on. And you might as well just punch me in the face. Because it says episode 7. I'm like, well, the other night we were watching episode 3. And I asked you not to watch ahead because this is yet another show I turned you on to. Fuck me over. Also brought to us by Resp Tattoo.
Yeah, for all your tattoo needs. He's starting to surface again.
He's starting to come out of the woodwork.
He's coming out.
He's been awfully quiet lately.
He has. He's like a bear hibernating.
I texted him the other day because I was going to stop in his shop and maybe try to get a quick tattoo. And it took him like 3 hours to respond.
Maybe he was busy tattooing.
But I texted him early in the morning. I don't think he goes in till like 10 or so. Where can we find Rasp?
I don't know. You know where his shop is. You were
Iron Will Tattoo in Glenside, Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Also brought to us by Extreme Cage Combat.
XCC. Helen, you're looking good.
There's an XCC 30. It's going to be in what? Is it November?
My favorite
September
thing
or November?
about Helen are the shoes that she wears.
I thought you were going to say her breasts or something.
Well,
like
no,
that.
because the shoes elevate her boobs right to eye level. So there you go.
I remember when we were at the fights like a week or so ago.
It's like she almost put my eyes out with them things.
She almost put your eyes out with those
I was
things.
just like, whoa.
You turned around and it was like a stick up.
I mean, it would have been a great last sight.
You were like, take my wallet, take everything I own.
Yeah, I said, tell me what lies I have to tell you.
So
And I'll tell them.
one of the things that happened before the show.
I'm a fan of the cans.
No, we're a can fan.
I am.
I'm a fan of the cans.
Who isn't a fan of cans?
Todd, are you a fan of the cans?
Yes.
He admitted it freely.
There you go.
I don't mind them either. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm fan of the cans.
I'd see you
But
more.
I'm a butt guy, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm a butt guy as well.
There's nothing wrong with butt cleavage either.
But if I have to choose, I would much rather have tight butt.
I can't see you sticking your face up a chick's ass, though.
Why?
I just don't see you being like, you're the kind of guy that probably, like, I envision you, and this may not
Do
be
I have
true.
like a bib on and like I'm just like fucking? I got all my silverware out and
I just see you as a guy that like uses like fucking baby wipes or something after you shake someone's hand or something. Like, I can't see you sticking your
Dude,
face up a chick's ass.
I train every day. I get people sweat all over me.
Yeah, well, that's you know.
So, but anyway, if I have to choose, I'm gonna take a good butt over a pair of big boobs.
Really?
Yeah, because you don't know what the lower half you're getting with sometimes with the big boobs, right?
I mean, look, I ain't kicking anybody out of bed for eating
No,
crackers.
no,
so
no.
It's like,
I agree. But one of the things when we went to do XCC 29 is you wore a tie,
yeah,
right?
I did.
And what's the one thing you don't know how to do? It's tie a tie.
Well, I was
So
going to
that tie had to be tied.
communicate honestly with other humans.
That tie had to be tied from the previous time we went somewhere and you wore a tie. Did you take it home and just hung it up?
I did the gimmick where you untie it a little bit and then you.
Yeah, and you hung it up.
Oh yeah.
So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, like, what other stuff should Bullet know how to do? And guys in general. So I found a website
probably a lot of things.
that had 48 things that men should know how to do.
This ought to be a bullshit list.
The first one, how to give a manly handshake.
Oh, I know how to do that.
How do you do it? Walk me through it.
You can make eye contact and you fucking look him in the eye and you shake his hand.
And then you hear this, Chris. Jingle, jingle from all the stuff that he
All
has
the-
on his...
Well, first
Hold
of
up
all,
the flare on the arms real fast. There's like 30 pieces of flare on the arms. But there's nothing I hate worse than when you go to shake somebody's hand and you get a limp wrist or a sweaty hand.
I do a very light handshake from my days in the business, and that lets just people know that I'm not working stiff. I ain't working snug. I'm light as a feather, baby.
Is that what that means?
Back in the day, like a lot of old school pro wrestlers.
Here he goes
Dude,
again.
no,
God damn
seriously,
it.
the biggest like muscle that dudes. This would be the handshake. Watch this. Yo, what's up, brother? Like
Dude,
that.
I hate that.
But that was like a sign to let them know I'm working. Like I'm working.
I
light.
concentrate so much on the handshake that I forget the person's name.
Yeah,
every
but you know what?
fucking time.
For some people, they get into that alpha male bullshit of I've got to out.
It's not an alpha male thing.
It does. It is.
I used to have a customer that was missing all the middle fingers except the pinky and the thumb,
Yeah.
and this is how I would get the handshake. No, give me your hand like a normal hand. It's just super
Why
awkward.
don't you just fucking too sweet him like the Young Bucks?
I don't think he knew what that was. So that was number one, is to have the handshake.
I
Two
think that's stupid. Anybody knows how to give a fucking handshake.
was how to tie a tie, which
Okay.
every man should know how to do,
All right.
which you don't.
Whatever.
You got to work with me here. You got to have a
I've
conversation.
gone on
back and
YouTube. No,
forth.
that's bullshit.
See what he's
because
doing? He's
that's
shutting down. He's
bullshit.
shutting down.
That's bullshit because when we went to the Sands, I went on YouTube and I tied my own tie.
You did, and then I fixed it for you.
Well, I tied it.
You did.
Well, then I know how to do it. There you go.
How to change a tire.
I can easily do that. I've done that many times.
But I know so many people that can't change a tire.
And here's the trick for everybody out there that has problems changing their own tire. And this is what I would recommend to you.
Give Bullets tips for auto
Bullets tips for the ladies out there
on how to change a tire.
or for people that maybe don't have the strength to change their lug
The
nuts.
core strength?
The arm strength. What you do is this. Go to Home Depot. Go get a PVC tube that's about maybe
Are they going to drive there with their flat tire?
Asshole face. The preparation.
So they should have this in the car.
Yes, be preventative, be proactive. Go to Home Depot, get a PVC tube that's about maybe 2 or 3 feet long, and that way what happens is you may not be strong enough to torque off the lug nuts. You slide the PVC tube over, you have a longer fulcrum, and you have more leverage,
Don't you
and then
think
you
a
can
steel
get it
pipe
off.
would work better?
You know how fucking heavy that is? You have that rattling around? The fucking PVC tube will
but
work
I don't
just
think
fine.
the PVC is quite strong enough
You
to
have a
take
longer,
that
longer,
sort of pressure.
longer lever, and then you're fine.
It's never the PVC won't hold.
The
It'll
PVC
snap.
will
It'll
not
snap.
hold. I
Bullshit.
just changed the blade on my lawnmower,
Really?
and I couldn't.
You think?
If you're gonna make it long enough that you're saying that the steel's too heavy, that PVC pipe's gonna.
Yeah,
snap.
it's not going to
You
make
think?
it.
You don't think a two
If you
foot?
had
It's just
2
basic
foot-
science.
You're the jerk offs that fucking have like something on the roof of your car and hold it with your one hand, thinking that you could fucking hold on to that shit with your fucking He-Man strength.
Number
And can we? And can we? I think we can.
Yeah.
There's no way that you would break a
Todd and I
PVC
could go buy a bureau tomorrow or a china cabinet and
Or a
just hold it with our hands
or a
on the
mattress.
roof.
Shut up.
We can do a match.
How to do laundry?
I did my laundry today.
Do you separate the whites from the colors?
Fucking rare.
Use hot water for the whites?
Yes.
Bleach?
Yeah. And then you use the fucking
Are you fabric softening bullets?
2.
2 fabric softeners.
Yeah.
That's why your shit's so soft.
It
That's a
is.
secret.
It is a secret. I am very.
Here's one I
domesticated.
know you definitely don't know how to do.
Okay.
Iron a dress shirt.
I don't know how to iron anything. I don't know one.
Like, you don't even own an iron.
Nope. You know what
So
I
do
use
you
for an
do?
iron?
You steam it in the shower, don't
Steam
you?
in the shower, hanging around the shower curtain.
This is one we all should know. Every man should know this one. How to unhook a bra with one hand.
Easily.
Yeah. Reach around, do a little tweak. I have a technique where I just do this. I look at her and I go, and it unlocks itself.
What I do is I hook my hand and I lift up, and whatever happens, happens.
I pull it over the head like
Yeah.
a hockey fight
Yeah.
and just start uppercutting.
Fuck your underwire. I'm just saying.
So every man should. And I remember that, like, when I first figured out how to do the one-hander, it's like the greatest thing, right?
It is.
Can you rehook it though? That's the hard part.
Yeah, I can rehook it.
Like, you ever unhook somebody's bra just playing around and they're like, "Well, fix it now," and it's like 5 minutes of trying to fix it.
No.
Just slides right in, jing, boom.
No.
Okay, listen to Todd. He's like, just a ching, bing, bing, boom.
Well, you got 2 kinds. You got the kind that the 2 little hooks.
What about the front johns?
Oh, the little
Ooh,
plastic,
those are a little bit
little
tougher.
plastic.
Yeah.
That's
it's
a
like
little-
a combination lock.
It's like an angle.
I think you have to go in with the
Angle.
teeth on that one.
Angle, boom, lock.
How about how to grocery shop for yourself?
Come on, stop it. I grocery shop for myself all
you
the time,
shop
baby.
online.
That's
What
not
am I
grocery.
buying? Fucking spark plugs? I'm buying fucking food.
No, but how to do it in person.
I can do it in person.
I
I've
don't
done
think
it.
so. We're doing a mini-sode.
I did it last week.
We're gonna do one of our new series that we're doing. Is
We'll
the,
talk about that
coming
in
at
a
you
little bit.
podcast takeouts. We're gonna do one with you, food shopping and interacting with people.
That's fine.
Here's one.
Can I be gimmicked up?
You could be gimmicked up.
No,
this
that
this
is
one
no
is for
problem.
this one is for you as well.
Okay.
How to flirt without being creepy.
Oh, I easily can. I can easily be because I have my dad's Southern charm. I'm very charming.
What's your opening line when you meet a lady?
Hello.
Let's say no. We're in the grocery store,
Okay.
right? This girl's looking at
We've already done this.
Playtex
we
tampons.
already know.
No, you're gonna approach her in the tampon section.
I wouldn't do that.
That's what makes it more difficult.
Okay.
So she's looking at. She's not sure which ones to buy. You walk up, look over her shoulder, kind of creepily. So you should go with the large. Do they come in large, big, like different sizes?
Now you flowing.
That's
What's
a
your
little-
what's your opening line for that?
Excuse me. I got to get the big, large ones for my grandmom.
How to build a campfire?
I can do that.
How?
I was a Boy Scout for like fucking 6 years.
Were you a Boy Scout?
Yeah.
Eagle Scout?
No.
Or were you a Weeblo?
No, I wasn't a
Cub
Weeblo.
Scout?
No.
So you went right to Boy Scouts.
Yeah. I know how to build a fucking
How old
campfire.
were you when you were Boy Scout? Because I'm calling bullshit on this.
I was in
Especially 6 years.
7th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I wasn't in for 6 years, but I was, but no, I was in. I was Troop 114, motherfucker.
All right. I was Troop 42 in Langhorne
114.
until I realized that I didn't know how to make moccasins, and I just quit.
I
was so
only
aggravated.
went for 2 reasons. One, to shoot bow and arrow and archery, and I got my archery merit badge.
But you weren't a Cub Scout or a Weeblo?
Nope.
I was a Cub Scout and a Weeblo, and we had like the box car
I
derbies.
just liked being outside. I liked being away from everybody. But I do know how to do it to start.
I remember we went camping at
all
up
about-
at Nockamixon, and everybody was in.
Nockamixon was awesome.
But everybody was in like one of those long buildings, like with all like the 50 beds. And I remember one of the parents getting up and getting changed, but he didn't care that there was all these little kids there, and he was fully nude, and just with
Oh.
gray pubes and everything. And I just remember being just traumatized. I was like, "What the fuck?"
You couldn't
is
get
this
away
guy
with that
doing?
nowadays.
I was like, "Dad." I was kidding. It wasn't my dad.
Here's a good campfire. It's all about the kindling. It's all about the bullshit stuff. It's all about the kindling.
Here's one that I don't know if Bull's good at it or if he's not good at it, or if he fakes being good at it. How to small talk with strangers. Because you will only talk to people that you feel safe with.
It's basically like method acting. Like I have like a soundtrack that I can regurgitate because I've watched people do it, but I don't like to do it. There's no personal investment with small talk. I don't like to do it.
Do you know how to break down a door?
Yeah.
That's number 11. Where'd you kick it?
Right by underneath the deadbolt.
Yeah. You boot that shit hard.
Fucking-
Like, you ever see a dude just run into a door, but he hits
He's
it on
an
like
idiot.
the fucking
He's
double
he's
on,
a
the,
fucking
on the
idiot.
hinge
The
side?
left
Yeah, he
side?
bounces off.
Fucking idiot. No.
Does DPM mean anything to you?
Does
Robert
what?
wrote- DPM. Robert wrote that.
DPM.
Yeah, he said, "Don't tell him, Kev. Family secret."
Double penetrating, man?
No, I don't know what DPM means, but I definitely have the Southern charm. I am a charming motherfucker when I want to be.
Yeah, I know. You should just let it out all the time.
I can't. Don't.
I'm just pulling the safety. I'm taking the safety off.
All right, dude. Don't
So
give you a fucking heads up.
The next one is how to jump a car. And we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, I know how to jump a car,
We
and
were both-
and he's telling me that I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah, we've been doing it wrong too.
No, but here's what. Okay,
If the car starts,
if the car starts, you're doing it right.
I agree.
Or you're damaging the battery.
Yes.
Did the car start? What was your goal? My car won't start. I need to jump the car to get it to start. Okay, the car starts now.
So we've
Then I did it
always
right.
been doing terminal to terminal, like red to red and black to black.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that.
That's
You got to
bullshit.
go red to red and then black to the car's frame of the
That's-
car you're trying to
That's
jump.
bullshit.
Otherwise, you're completing a circuit. It just goes all the way through.
And that's
All
the
the way around, Chris.
and that's the
All
kind
the
of
way
guy
around.
that's the
All
kind
the
of
way
guy
around.
that probably wears a condom when he has sex. Amateur.
Every man should know the full 4 rules of firearms. You should know these.
You never have your finger in the trigger. Well,
No.
Well, I never do.
Safety law. Safety law.
There's 4 rules of safety for a guy that's carrying a gun. You
Well,
should
what are
know
these? What are these bullshit rules? I'd love to hear these.
Number 1, treat all firearms as if they're loaded.
Okay, yeah.
Number 2, keep your finger off the trigger and outside the trigger guard until you're ready
That's
to
what
shoot.
I just fucking said.
You said that was number 1.
Yeah.
It's number
Because the
2.
gun ain't gonna fucking fire unless your finger's on the
Do
trigger.
not point at
Anything.
anything
Unless you want to kill
that
it.
you do not intend to shoot. Be certain your line of fire and of your backstop. How about how to hold a baby? You
Yeah.
remember the first time you held a baby?
I was petrified
It's the
when I was
fucking
holding.
worst. I didn't even like holding my own kids.
Me either. I was petrified. That was the first time I held a baby.
Like you just, and especially somebody else's baby. Like you show up at the hospital, like before you have your own kids. And they're like, "Oh, you want to hold a baby?" I'm like, "Nope, don't want to hold it."
Holding someone's baby is akin to like someone saying, "Here, I just opened up this $5,000 computer. Hold this wire."
Yeah, it's scary.
The
What?
whole
It's-
head thing.
It's
Yeah.
it's so fragile. Like, how to hold the neck.
You know,
like-
babies aren't born with kneecaps.
I did not know that.
You got fucking.
That's why I don't like holding
You
them.
got 14 of them. You don't.
That's
fucking,
why I don't like holding them.
You didn't know that?
I only like holding things with kneecaps.
Yeah, babies don't fucking kneecaps. Yeah, you're thinking
When
that it's
to
bullshit,
button a
but
jacket?
look it up.
How about when to button a jacket?
When you're outside, when you're inside, you want button it.
More like a dress coat, like for
Yeah, like a
sport
dress
coat.
coat.
sport coat.
A sport coat.
Is it buttoned when you're sitting?
No, it's always unbuttoned.
Buttoned when
you
you're standing.
button when you stand. You unbutton it when you.
How to shuffle a deck of cards? Every guy should know how to do that.
I do that with my magic cards.
Do you know how to skip a?
Magic the Gathering.
How about
Yeah.
skipping a stone?
No, I don't know how to do that.
You don't know how to skip stones?
No.
God
but
damn.
But
I'd
if
love
I'm
to
having
see
a
that.
but if I'm having a
Talking
really
to the mic.
but if
I'd
I'm
love to
having
see
a
that.
really bad a day with anxiety, I make sure that I don't step over lines, so I will skip over those.
You've never gone skipping rocks in your entire life?
Can't do it, and I can't.
No, I'm asking if you've ever even tried it.
Yeah, and I suck at it. I can't do it, and I can't blow a bubble with bubble gum. Never learned.
Really?
Yep, can't do it.
What else can't you do? One of the guys I train with doesn't know how to ride a bike,
You should kick him the fuck out.
and we make fun of him all the time. He's a good dude, but like every chance I get, I fuck with him just for the sake of fucking with him.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Did you look up that babies were born without kneecaps, and you found out that I was right?
Is that what he was doing over there?
Yeah, that's what he was doing. Fucking Captain Snarky over here.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we can go by the first.
You've got
set.
about 90 kids between the two of you, and you didn't fucking know that?
When does a child develop kneecaps? The kneecaps are no exception. A newborn baby's patella kneecap is made almost and completely of cartilage, so it's actually born with it.
Yeah.
It's just soft.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it still cartilage? Or it's got to be still cartilage then.
Around age 3 to 5, it starts to harden to it like a bone.
Really?
Thanks. They don't have a fucking kneecap then.
No.
How about surviving a bear attack?
Yes.
What if a grizzly bear attacks you?
Here's what you do. You shit your pants and you roll all over it, and then you don't move.
So I believe
For a
there's.
grizzly?
That's gonna happen either way.
How about a black bear?
You throw your shit at it. No,
Black bear's just gonna attack you and eat you.
Yeah.
Right? Is that
don't
it?
Yeah. So my
Run down a hill because they got dumpy short legs and they can't fucking run downhill.
So I went bear hunting. My cousin goes, "What do you do if a bear comes at you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna lay down because that's what you should
Nah,
do."
that's the
He goes,
worst
"No,
thing you do.
Maybe if we were in a grizzly area." He goes, "No, black bear's just gonna start eating you from the ass."
But you always hear people say too, like run and climb a tree. Those fuckers
No,
climb
they can climb.
trees.
You run downhill.
You ever see the video of the guy who's he's hunting and the two bears climb up the tree to him?
Yeah. Run down.
Fuck that.
Next to him.
Yeah.
Run downhill. Is that what you're supposed to do?
I would think they're faster downhill, probably.
No, but they can't. They got little short legs. They'll trip and fall.
How about how to tie knots?
What does your fucking list say?
We just went over it. If it's a brown bear or a grizzly bear, you play dead, right? Brown bear, you get the fuck out of town as fast as you can.
Do your best.
Do your best.
Fight back.
You fight back.
I got to be honest. I don't think I'm winning that one. I barely win the fight to get out of bed on most days. I ain't gonna fucking win a fight against a bear.
It also has every man should know the meat cuts and how to cook them.
Now, when they say bear, do they mean a hairy gay man, or do they mean like?
What do you do when a hairy gay man attacks you?
I mean, it depends. I
He
mean,
just goes belly down.
I figured that would be the worst thing to do, right?
How to clean a fish.
I don't eat seafood, so I don't
Have you
give
ever
a fuck
fished?
about
I don't
that.
think you've ever fished in your life, have you?
No, fishing to me is like the.
Have you ever gone fishing?
No,
Never once.
no,
Really?
doesn't interest me.
Do you know how to play baseball?
Yep.
Did your dad interact with you as a child?
Yeah, but I mean, I know this is hard for you to believe. Hold on your hats. I was the weird one that read books and comics and fucking hung in his room and didn't fucking associate with people really all that much. I was a quiet kid.
Really?
I was a quiet kid.
I don't buy it.
I didn't really talk until junior year of high school.
Is it because you didn't know how to talk?
He was working on the small talk.
I was just watching, just observing.
How to sew on a button? Do you know how to sew?
Yeah,
You do know how to sew?
yeah.
Can you sew a seam?
Here's how you sew on a button. Usually what I do is
This is going to be an insult to women. Go ahead.
No, it's not an insult at all. I'll ask whatever woman that I know is just like at the time, be like, hey, do you know how to sew? Awesome. Can you sew this?
Dude, I remember when I was in boot camp,
That's
you have to make your bed, right? And you have to make it a certain way. And you have a thing called a catch edge, which is
I know what it
the
is.
seams on the wrong side.
Yeah.
First night of boot camp, my company commander, he ripped the whole seam out, like 6 feet long, and made me sew it. And it had to be 10 stitches per inch, right? So I spent the whole night sewing it, and he came in the morning, grabbed my sheets off my bed, and pulled out a tape measure and counted the goddamn stitches. And I missed them. I missed like 2 stitches in one of the spots. The dude ripped the whole fucking thing out again, and I had to spend the second night sewing it. It was the worst. Fucking, I don't ever want to sew again. How about shining shoes? Can you do shining shoes?
I never do it, but I think I can.
I'm sure I could look it up on YouTube and figure out how to do it.
How about how to tell your wife not to watch ahead on television?
Well, okay, what you do is you say, honey.
I'm going to save the second half of this list for later. But
You say, honey, it really hurts my feelings when you skip ahead because this is something that we're doing together and we're experiencing this show together. And I feel like when you skip ahead, it's kind of like disrespectful to me.
and I'll hold off on on watching episodes like Game of Thrones, right? How could you not watch last weekend's and the weekends before? But I was talking to her. She's like, "Well, let's watch it in a couple of days when I have a chance." I said, I turned you on this. If I turn her on to the show, I'm gonna watch it on my own if I can.
I don't know what gets white people angrier. If you tell them that you don't watch Game of Thrones, or if you tell them that, I don't know.
The last 2 episodes.
Tell them that you support Colin Kaepernick. I don't know what gets white people
The
more
last
upset.
2 episodes were fucking fantastic. When we were watching it last week and they show up and they got like the Dragonlands and they're having their meeting, and
Smashed his aunt.
and the Hound carries that box out
Yeah.
and there's nothing happening in it. Like it was a zombie just taking a break.
Look,
They
I'm
just,
the
like-
I'm the weatherman, but I was predicting 8 inches of snow in her forecast for a long fucking time. All right, that's what I'm saying.
But when he kicks the box over, and that fucking thing comes running out.
Did you jump?
No, I didn't jump. But wouldn't that have been the perfect time to just let the thing keep going
Do you find yourself
and fucking kill her?
not liking some of the physics?
Yeah, but then they would have.
physics of
They
things?
were surrounded by soldiers. That would have not been.
It was
good.
right in her face though. By the time it got to the end of the chain.
So I see the dragonfly, and the first thing I go is, there's no way he can fly with all those holes in his wings.
Oh, the dead dragon.
They're
I thought that
magical.
too.
They're
I thought that
magical.
too.
But at
The
same,
aerodynamics.
But at the same time, I'm okay with a horse with no cartilage or muscles.
Yeah,
walking.
exactly. Yeah, it's all about aerodynamics. I care about aerodynamics.
Do you?
actually.
Are you a big aerodynamics guy?
Well, look. Do you see this right here?
What are you showing me?
His armpit?
See that?
You shaved your armpits?
No hair.
Oh,
You know what that means?
aerodynamic.
It means I'm aerodynamic in a fight, bro. That's what it means.
So when they kick the thing over and the zombie comes out,
I
that's
was
some crazy
amazed
shit.
how many times they made references to cocks in the first 5 minutes. The dialogue in the first 5 minutes was amazing.
What was the dialogue with the cocks?
He said it's all about, like, they're sitting at the wall, and he's like, it's all about cocks. He's like, we're going to fight cockless men. Like, you don't fight cockless men. And he's like, well, what the fuck? There's nothing left to fight for you. he
like,
was
money.
telling Jamie Lannister about how it's all about his
yeah.
cocks. And he's like, in the end, it's all about cocks. And he's
I-
like, yeah, I guess you're right.
I was reading a thing today. The guy, what's his name? Boone or Bon or whatever. Who's the guy who's Jamie Lannister's guy? His main guy.
The one you were just talking
Braun.
Brom, yeah.
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 He used to date who's the sister? Jamie Lannister.
Cersei?
Yeah, they used to date in real life.
Yeah?
That's why you never see them in any scenes together because they fucking hate each other.
Get out of here. For real?
Yeah. Yeah, they dated in like 2014 or something, and it's so bad they can't be in scenes together. So when that scene
She should
came
get over
on,
it.
he had to go out and he walked out with the other guy. That's the reason. They don't put them in the same scenes together.
Well, I think that's petty. You're being paid money. Be a fucking professional.
I'm sure that dude's a professional.
It reminds me of the time that you had the Ultimate Warrior in this
God
match.
damn it.
I'm just wanted to fuck with you.
How about Jon Snow still wearing all his winter garb?
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. Like he's still got every ounce
He's a
of
country bumpkin.
but it's got to be fucking hot,
Yeah, but he's cold.
right? How about when the fucking Hound walks up to his brother
Oh,
That was good.
and he's like, "You look like shit."
Yeah, he's like, you're
But-
an ugly bastard.
But just know I'm gonna be the one to kill you, or however the fuck he said
pretty
it.
much.
He's one of my favorite characters.
You
can't go wrong with the Dinks either.
Dinkles. Oh, speaking of Dinkles, if anybody has Google Play streaming, Dinkles is in this movie called Unmemory or Rememory or something. It's basically in the future. This scientist comes up with a device that can extract your memories and you
Right.
can experience them, and he gets murdered. And Dinkles has to solve this murder by
He's like a mini detective.
yeah. The thing I like about
You know what I like about Dinkles?
He
You
doesn't-
don't realize he's a dwarf when you watch him act. Like
Well-
you're totally lost on it because he's so good of an actor.
yeah, I mean, I think that this is a role that could have gone to any actor, but the fact that he is a dwarf or a little person
Has
or whatever,
nothing to do with it.
has nothing to do with
That's how good of an actor he is.
But any person who's a fan of Dinkles, Google Play, it's a free app on your Roku. And this weekend, that movie is free.
All right, so Jon Snow banging his aunt.
Actually, it's Aegon Targaryen.
Oh, his real name.
Right,
That's his
but
real name.
but that's his aunt.
He was fucking pounding her.
He was putting it in his aunt.
That's
That's
like-
what I want to clarify. Is he banging his aunt? Is that the thing?
Yeah. And look, we've all been there.
Jamie's banging.
Well,
have we?
but no. But
Todd,
what I
have
mean
you
is,
been there?
I've
Todd
never-
and
Hold
I
on.
have never been there.
you cut me off. We've all been there before, like when we introduce our friends to our new girlfriend and then find out she's got a secret or past. Like, hey guys, it's my new girlfriend. She did porn. Fuck. It's like, hey, it's my new girlfriend. She's your aunt. God damn it.
I do remember in high school, I kissed a girl,
I like Katy Perry.
And you liked it?
and I liked it, and she was in
Fuck
my
Katy Perry. I
she was
hate
in
her.
my homeroom, and then I saw her at a family event, like maybe a month later. Yeah, not directly related, like a second or third
And
cousin.
they talk about us Southerners, huh?
And I just remember thinking to myself, like, because when I kissed her, I'm like, this doesn't feel right, right? And then I see her at the event like 3 weeks later, and she's like my second cousin's cousin.
I had something.
But
well,
it was just
I didn't
it was
kiss a girl.
still enough.
Well, listen, I didn't kiss a girl, but you know how Facebook will recommend like, hey, you should be friends with this person.
Yeah.
So I'm looking through the list one day, and I'm like, oh, who's this? She's kind of cute, and like all the mutual friends or family members. I'm like, fuck, she's a family member.
Really?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of my family. I'm gonna go down to Georgia this
you bang her?
November.
No.
Okay.
I'm just asking.
Like-
You said you're from the South.
My family is.
Right. I don't know what the fuck they're into down there.
Like, you know what? I don't really appreciate the condescending.
Hey, you know what? We got a friend who's coming on the show, a new friend.
What's his name?
His name is Mike Arnice.
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 That sounds.
And he is with the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission.
That sounds official.
Todd's going to be calling him right now. Toddy.
Tati.
That was your sign right there to give him a call, Todd. He like Todd.
Toddy.
Todd. So
Hey guys, I'm gonna call him.
at the fights, like every time we go to the events, we see this guy Mike, right? And he's running around, he's directing everybody what to do. He's telling.
Whenever
the
I
judges,
see Mike, this is usually what I see Mike doing. Guys, get the fuck out of the cage.
he's usually giving the business to somebody.
He's usually yelling at somebody.
But-
yo, you guys, out of the cage.
What's up, guys?
And I don't
Hey.
hey Mike, we were just talking about how we always see you at the events and
Yelling at them, get out of the cage.
yelling at different guys
Get
to
in
do
the back.
stuff. And I don't think people understand what the role of the state guys are. And I don't know if you can see both of us here or not.
No, I'm seeing the wall. That's it.
Yeah, we got to turn this a little bit. You can turn it towards Bull a little bit, Todd, because I'm sure Bull's gonna have more questions. So when we were at the fights, I saw Mike and I was like, you know what? It'd probably be pretty cool to get somebody on here who can maybe educate us a little bit on your role and some of the stuff that you see. And I have no doubt you probably have some crazy stories as well from stuff you've seen over the years.
Tell him to turn his phone.
Turn your phone down.
Landscape.
Oh,
Landscape.
the landscape. Turn it sideways.
There we go.
Hey, there you go. We got you on full
there
screen.
we go.
You
Alright.
can hear us in the background.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I noticed, because we're there in the event before everybody else is in, is just the little details about how the cage is inspected for the safety of the fighters, whether it's just the most minute things and the mat itself and the surface. And the last time I was hearing some of the instructions that you were giving back there to the guys, and I don't think people really understand how many moving parts go into a professional mixed martial arts event. You know what I mean? Like, what is the role? Like, what are some of the things that
What's
that
your
you're gonna
title
do?
for starters, Mike?
Well, my title is deputy director, so I answer to Greg Sturb. He's the executive director, and from day one, it's been it's like going to school. I mean, it's such a great learning experience to be behind him and know everything that he knows and try to carry that on and put my own spin and take on things to ensure the safety of the fighters.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that me and Chris have both expressed interest in the past, whether it be refereeing or judging, because I feel that the role of a referee in a combat sport in particular is different than a referee in any other sport. Because if a referee blows a call in a baseball game or a basketball game or something like that, okay, it's whatever. But this is a sport where your health, you can lose your life doing this. This is very serious stuff. So if you have a referee that doesn't know what he's doing or an official that doesn't know what he's doing, this can directly affect like this person's life. For a person that wants to get into, be it whether it's refereeing or judging, what would be the process for that?
First, they have to have a background in the sport. We don't take anybody walking off the street. You have to have years of experience and knowledge and training in that sport. All of our referees have fought in the cage. They've been training for years, and then once we do hire them on, they will shadow and train for months before we even allow them to get in the cage.
How did you get started in it, Mike?
Well, when they passed MMA in the state of Pennsylvania, I was the first inspector hired, because before, when it was just boxing, I used to go to all the shows with my dad, who's an inspector still.
Oh, so this is like a family trade.
Yeah, pretty much,
That's cool.
And so after they passed MMA, Greg turned to me. He said, "You want a job?" I said, "I've been waiting 20 years for this." So yeah, absolutely. So he took me on as an inspector and kind of, showed me what to do for that. And then once the opportunity came up for to be basically his assistant, he offered me the job. And, I I quit Verizon Wireless in a day. I said, "Yep, I'm in."
Let me go do something I like.
Yeah, absolutely. So
so
it's I've been following Greg around for over 20 years. With the boxing and learning back then too.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Let's say there's an event coming up, and let's say next XCC event. At what point do you get involved with the event, and do they register it with you, and then you start having conversations?
Well, I mean, yeah, everybody, when you want to have an event, you have to contact the office, see if a date is open.
Mm-hmm.
Greg will pencil you in, and then from that point on, the promoters and matchmakers will start sending the matchups in, and we'll go through and approve them and see who needs medicals, who doesn't, who's good, who's not. Is this person have enough experience to have their first fight? That's what we get a lot of too. A lot of these kids and sometimes even guys that are close to 40 want to step in there and see if they have what it takes.
We see it all the time. I teach. I'm a assistant instructor for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at night, and a lot of times we'll get new guys, and they're like, "Well, hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Oh, I want to fight as soon as I can." And I'm like, "You haven't had one class yet, and you're ready to fight." And
yeah.
It amazes me that in everybody's mind are like, oh, I can just get in there and do it, because it's not an easy thing to do.
One question that I have is, what is the criteria for a person turning pro? They've had amateur fights. What is that a determination that is with their management, or is that a determination where they apply with you? What is that?
They apply with us. They have to have a fair amount of amateur fights. They have to have a couple advanced amateur fights to prove that they could be in there without the shin pads and ground and pound, and then we'll get them approved. If everything falls into place, then they'll get approved for a pro.
So they have to prove to you guys that they can fight intelligently, and not necessarily win the fight, but they can show that they're not going to go in there and just get killed. Because fighter, like we always talk about,
safety's our number one.
It's the number one priority, and so we see you guys at the fights all the time, and the guys that report to you are the judges, the referees.
Yep.
Anybody else at the arena that's reporting to you while you're there?
I would imagine they had
judges, referees, doctors.
Yeah, doctors.
My inspectors. Yeah.
So you probably have like 20 people reporting to you at any event.
Less than 20.
Okay.
Less than 20.
I would have to.
Normally, on a small show, we have 3 inspectors, a doctor. Boxing, there's 2 doctors, 4 judges, 1 or 2 refs. So, about 9 to 10, give or take.
That's a lot of working parts.
Yeah, I would say.
Yep.
I would say really that the referees have to be athletes themselves in the sense that they have to make split-second decisions. And these are split-second decisions that could affect a person's quality of life. And they also have to make those decisions. They can't be affected by the crowd. So, I mean, that is a thing where that is a very unenviable position. One thing I did want to ask you is, we have heard that there's going to be some modifications of rulings, some of the rule sets in terms of what constitutes a down fighter. Are you in favor of the 3-point rule? Are you like, I know with some of the modifications they're talking about, where in the past you'd see some fighters in a mixed martial arts fight, they would purposely put a hand down to stall the fight. We've seen some athletic commissions to where they're modifying that rule. Is Pennsylvania adopting that modified rule, or are they sticking with the unified rules for right now?
We're sticking with the 1 hand down.
Okay.
First of all, our referees, when they apply for their license every year, our existing referees, they have to have a physical. Okay, so
the referee has to have some sort of physical shape to him.
Oh, absolutely. But we are sticking with that 1 hand down, 1 full palm down, weight bearing. Talking to at the last XCC show, Bill Bookwalter, the referee. I said, listen, Bill, when Greg retires, I'm sticking with it unless it goes unified. So, I don't plan on deviating really any changes unless it becomes voted upon by the ABC. I just think that's the safe way. And basically, to me, whatever Greg says makes sense. I mean, he's been around this and he's been in this business for over 20 plus years. I don't think there's another commissioner better than him right now.
Now, to clarify for rules, because a lot of times at our events we have amateur fights, advanced amateur, and pros. And for the amateurs, it's no head kicks and no strikes to the head while the opponent's down on the ground.
Correct.
Okay. And they need to wear the shin guards, and it's 3 2-minute rounds?
Correct.
One rule that I would love to see changed is I would love to see no elbows on the ground, because I feel that for many fighters, the object is to cut, to damage, and not to stop the fighter. And that's such a horrible thing to see a fight stopped because of a cut. Obviously, it is what it is. Are there any, I mean, if you could, I'm not trying to get anything controversial or get you in hot water. If there's any rule, if there was any one rule that you could just unilaterally just change and say, this is one rule I would like, maybe like something taken away or something added, what would you like to see? You don't have to answer. I mean,
yeah, that's a good question. I would probably have to agree with the elbows to the head while on the mat.
Yeah.
I think that's just a very dangerous move. And the other thing too is you know what, for being in this business, I just have a very bad stomach. So when I see somebody that has an armbar in and it's deep and, you know, they are really cranking that in, I turn away. I don't want to see anything pop. That is just not me.
I think there was somebody on the last event that their arm was almost folded in half the opposite direction.
Yeah, I believe it was one of the female.
It was.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was crazy. It was bent in almost the opposite direction completely.
But real quick story. I remember when I was probably in high school, we were out in Bushkill at the Fernwood Resort for boxing, and I'm sitting at ringside with Greg, and kid comes out, slips on the mat because it was wet, and that's one of my biggest things, especially with boxing. Keep that mat dry. This kid slipped and snapped his leg in half.
Oh.
I've never ran so fast before in my life. Away from the ring, back to the locker room. I can't handle that stuff. You know?
Was this in between rounds, or was this just getting into the ring?
No, this was in between rounds. So the mat was a little wet. You know, douse them with water, and they don't dry it up. And
how mad was that guy at his corner?
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, from what I remember, like, he wasn't a big name fighter. He was a journeyman, and but still,
yeah.
you don't want to see that happen to anybody, though.
You don't want to be that guy who snapped his leg in the corner getting up.
Well, ultimately, I think speaking to fighters and being around it peripherally for a real long time, I think that there is an attitude of where, some of the fighters think that these guys just want to stop the fights, that they're against us. And the thing that people have to understand is that fighters are the last ones to understand that the fight should be stopped. They need to be saved from themselves many times. And at the end of the day...
Oh, absolutely.
Like, take, for instance, there was a lot of people that had a lot of umbrage about the Mayweather-McGregor stoppage. Oh, he didn't hit the mat. He didn't hit the mat. Like, why'd they stop it? Because Mayweather landed 20 out of his 25 power shots that round, and McGregor didn't answer anything, and his body language indicated that he wanted out of there.
Yep.
Did you see the fight?
I did. I saw it actually the next day. I found it online, and you know what? Mayweather is the best in terms of how to fight.
Yeah.
The object is to hit and not get hit.
Yep.
He took some shots, no doubt it.
Yep.
But he knew when to attack. He knew when McGregor was gassed.
Yep.
And exactly like you just said, he landed as many punches as he had to show damage, and for that ref to step in and say, okay, that's it. And listen, there's not a doubt in my mind, and there wasn't anybody in that arena that knew how that fight was going to finish.
Yeah, I looked at the final CompuBox punch stat. McGregor was 56% of his power punches for the whole fight, which is insane. I always, whenever there is a controversial decision, I always try to look at the final CompuBox stat of a power punch if it's boxing. And the numbers don't lie. 56% of his power punches, he doubled the amount of power punches landed than McGregor. I think Mayweather, I mean, he was always a guy that said he never watched tape, but he always fought like a guy who did. And what I mean by that is, and I'm sure you've seen this, you know when a fighter watches tape of a guy because the first couple rounds, he's doing things to judge his movements and compare that to what he's already seen on tape. But you didn't have tapes of McGregor boxing. So a lot of the angles were kind of, okay, a little surprising for him. So I wasn't expecting Mayweather to win rounds 1 through 4. Not that he was giving them away. If he saw an opening, he was going to take it.
It was just going to be awkward from the start.
But it was going to be awkward from the start. I thought that McGregor did better than a lot of people. I mean, you had Max Kellerman said he wasn't going to land a clean punch, which was kind of laughable. But at the end of the day, do you think that this is going to be something where you're going to see more crossover because there's a market for it?
Yeah, I think so. I was actually heard on Sirius XM the other day that this one guy on one show is saying Stipe Miocic, is probably within 6 months going to step into the boxing ring and take on Anthony Joshua.
Ooh.
But I think that says more. I think
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think that says more about the fact that Miocic is not getting paid what he feels he's worth. I mean, his challenger got paid more money than he did in his hometown, and he was the defending champion.
100% agree with you. Absolutely. I think there are favorites in the UFC. There's no doubt in my mind. There's a champion that he's held the heavyweight title longer than anybody recently, and he's not getting the respect he deserves. Yeah.
Do you think the Ali Act, there is talk about the Ali Act entering MMA, and if that happens, they will have sanctioning bodies set up the championship fights where the promoter would no longer, the UFC would no longer be able to set up and determine who's getting a title fight and whatnot. Do you think that that would be catastrophic for the UFC business model?
I don't think so. They're probably not going to like it. I think that's a really good idea if they do, because the UFC just basically, to me, does what they want. They put in who they want.
Well, they do their own rankings too, right?
Yeah.
Should John Jones have had that title shot? Probably not. I don't think so. And then he just gets tested positive. So I mean, this was such a waste. I mean, it was a great fight.
Yeah, I was so disappointed.
But the UFC would the UFC. I know Chris is going to cringe here when I say this, because whenever I talk about pro wrestling, he cringes. But the UFC is the most successful pro wrestling organization in the world. They promote their entire business model.
Did you say the UFC is the most?
Yes.
Okay.
The UFC.
Clarifying. I want to make sure that's what you said.
The UFC is the most successful professional wrestling promotion in the world. They build and sell fights exactly like pro wrestling.
Absolutely. They
promote their brand above the fighter. They do not promote fighters. Boxing promotes fighters. They promote their brand. They don't promote the MMA. They promote the UFC. But for a business model, I think it's going to be catastrophic for the UFC if the Ali Act is enabled in MMA for this reason. They've got a lot of investors that are trying to recoup that $4 billion. A lot of their stars, Ronda Rousey's gone. She's married. She's pretty much done. Their other biggest star, Conor McGregor, he just made, what, $100 million? You think he's going to come back for $5 million?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well, I just read that, if he does the trilogy, I know Diaz wants at least 20.
That's a joke.
So
$20 million for Diaz? That's crazy.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
Diaz, look, like,
does the Pennsylvania Athletic Commission cover wrestling too? Is that, like, if that comes to town, is that something that you're involved with?
Oh,
and the reason I'm asking, hang on, because I told Bullet you were coming on, and Bullet's like a diehard wrestling fan,
big time.
And so I snuck onto your Facebook page for a second, and I saw you a picture with Shane Douglas.
So he goes.
I text him the picture. He's like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "God damn!"
So I start marking out, and I go, "Wow, he's a huge pro wrestling fan." He goes, "I don't think so." He's just standing there. I'm like,
I am.
He goes like, so I go, "No, he's throwing a triple threat hand signal on there," and he goes, and I can just hear him start to cringe. I'm like, "That's triple threat." So
we do talk about wrestling on here as well. But anytime Bullet can interject it into the conversation, he's gonna pull it in.
Hey,
And when I saw when I sent that picture to him, I'm like, I'm just stirring the pot right
here's
now.
the thing. For MMA fans to not to look down their noses about pro wrestling, I can't tell you how many MMA fans were up in arms. Like Chris Weidman was. I've never seen a person act that way on Twitter after the Conor McGregor fight. And I said, MMA fans now know what it's like to be professional wrestling fans because you all got worked. You all got worked with this Mayweather-McGregor fight, and that's what it is. And the reason why I say the UFC is the most successful pro wrestling promotion is back in the day, the tools that they would talk you into the building. Anybody with common sense knows a 49-0 boxer is going to face a guy who's never had a professional boxing match ever. But by the time they did those press tours and everything else, you were like, you know what? I want to watch it. They talked you into the building. That's no difference than Dusty Rhodes cutting the Hard Times promo.
Can you give him a little Dusty Rhodes?
The American Dream, baby. Dusty Rhodes is going to be here at Starrcade 85, baby. Pork and beans.
Nice.
But no, they are using the tools that professional wrestling used to use, and they're using it well. Everything that happened outside of that promotion of Mayweather-McGregor was a work. I hope that everything that happened inside the ring was legitimate. But come on, these guys were business partners flying on private jets together.
Yeah.
Don't give me that crap of, getting his bodyguards to form Voltron and swarm on him. And
I was hoping to see Voltron. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel, to me, the whole entire buildup of the Mayweather-McGregor fight turned me off just because you don't have to do much to sell it. You have arguably, and I'm a Floyd fan.
But they sold it. I mean, there was, 6.5 million people bought it?
But what I mean
plus
is
100 million illegal downloads.
I just don't like the fact how they went to the lowest common denominator. They brought in race. They brought in all this stupid stuff. They could have just been like, you have a champion in this one sport. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Conor McGregor, 4 years ago, cashed his last unemployment check.
Dude didn't have shit.
He had nothing. If Conor McGregor's story is nothing else, it is the power of self-belief. He came in there and he said, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Watch me. And he talked himself into the biggest payday of any professional prize fight.
If that dude never does anything again, he's still set for life.
He's a hero in Ireland. He never has to pay for a drink or a meal.
Now, so far we've talked about combat sports, MMA, wrestling, boxing. Is there other sports that the PA Commission covers? Like badminton or just any fucking... Is there any weird sports you're just like, why the fuck are we covering this?
No, those three. We do kickboxing as well.
Okay.
And we actually oversee all athletic agents. So if you're a sports agent and you want to sign somebody from Penn State or Temple or Pitt, you need to register.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
So, do you have any goofy stories from doing that?
Yeah.
That you can talk about.
So do you have to approve the contracts and everything else, or?
No, we don't approve the contracts. We just make sure that if you want to do business in this state and you're an agent, you have to register with us.
Okay.
So you need a license.
So you probably meet all kinds of people every day. Like he's got some deep stories. We're gonna have to keep chiseling away. We're gonna have Mike on again too.
We're gonna talk to him off the air. Feed him some beer.
It's one of those things though with the agents that it's just kind of a pain in the neck type of thing. Especially when they send an email or they make a phone call and they're not registered, and that's basically it's against the law. So, it's like, all right, you got to backtrack and get this guy registered and get him in before people start ratting him out, because there's no bigger rats than another rat.
How many events a month do you handle?
Well, starting tomorrow, we have 6 boxing, 4 MMA, and countless pro wrestling shows.
Just for the month of September.
House of Hardcore.
Oh yeah,
House of Hardcore.
Yeah.
And you got Ring of Honor coming.
We do over 400 wrestling shows a year.
Good God.
Yeah.
How many people work for the PA Commission? Like you said, you're a deputy?
I'm the deputy director, and basically I'm the only full-time employee besides Greg.
Okay, and how many other deputies as well?
we have over 20 inspectors that are part-time that they just work the shows.
Well, if you need anybody to be your deputy consigliere for professional wrestling, I'll go there and
You gotta swear him in somehow, and like,
I'll do
just
it.
watching that would be
I'll
fun.
do it for free. Hell, I'll pay you.
He'll be like Elvis. He'll be like Elvis.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'll inspect the ring. I'll do flat back bumps in the ring. I'll be like, oh man, it's a little stiff here, brother.
Hey, Mike, I got a question for you. Have you ever had?
This is my brother Todd, by the way. He's
Have
not
you ever had to
on camera. He's afraid to be on camera.
Have you ever canceled a show or not allowed a show to go on because something wasn't safe?
Yes, not me personally, but we did shut down a Foxy boxing show.
Foxy Boxing, you're shutting that down?
Arena.
God damn it.
Hold on.
Yes. Oh,
Let me just amend my statement. I will be your Foxy Boxing consigliere and inspects everybody.
So
and makes
I
sure
will
they're
be
good.
Bullet's assistant as well.
basically, it was just a scripted boxing with female celebrities at the arena in Philly that the doctor didn't show up. So we had to cancel it. We had to shut it down.
Because they thought because it was a scripted event, they didn't need to have a medical professional there.
Correct.
Yeah, and we've seen shows
Correct.
that we've
Well,
actually
we had
worked.
the one event a couple months ago at the Armory.
They had to
Actually,
pause it.
Yeah, probably last year. I think it was a heavyweight fight where the guy did a spinning back kick to the other dude and dropped him, and they had to take him to the hospital. Do you remember that event?
No, it wasn't a spinning back kick.
Uh,
It was a straight right, and he dropped him. And what happened was we had to pause the event
It
because
was like an hour break.
because they couldn't have the event while there wasn't an ambulance there.
correct.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
ambulance took the
Yeah, the
guy.
ambulance took the guy to the hospital, and then we just had to sit there and wait till the ambulance came back or some other medical professional showed
Yeah.
up. And I don't think the
Yep.
fans understand that part. Because like you said earlier, like fighter safety is so important. When something happens and the whole show has to stop for a moment, a lot of guys don't understand why the show's not going on.
Yeah. Where do you see the rule set going? Going back earlier, do you see there any big changes that Pennsylvania will institute? Whether it be like with weight cutting. Weight cutting is a big, hot topic.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on that?
The weight cutting, I believe, will eventually go towards the way the NCAA does the wrestling weigh-ins.
Uh-huh.
Couple hours before, and you have to be within, a certain percentage of your, the body fat, because right now for amateur MMA, we do not let the amateurs cut weight.
And you shouldn't. No, that's a bad idea.
No, and the last show we did, the XCC, I believe the agreed upon weight was 135. Kid came in at 125. Time to go home.
Oh yeah, I remember that. We had because we go
Yeah.
over the fighter list at the beginning, and we were always questioning why guys are taking off.
Well,
and it's just for safety because they don't know how to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Well, so it's just
well, the chance of a head injury if you're dehydrated and you don't have enough fluids in your body and you take a head injury
goes up.
It's significantly multiplied, I would think.
Yeah, it does, especially now that you can't rehydrate with an IV.
Hey, Mike, do you ever see him doing something similar to like high school wrestling where you start the season off with being told at where you could wrestle at based on your current weight and your body fat?
No, but I think that's something that I would really be interested in doing. If you, even for the pros too, if you sign a contract, say I'm going to fight 150 pounds, and you come in at 160 and you tell me, hey, I can't cut any more weight. Well, you know what? You just lost that shot of ever fighting at 150 again. Your minimum weight now is 160.
Be professional.
And I think, absolutely. I think that would be a big improvement and a big help to these fighters.
Just keeping guys close to their natural weight.
Be a professional.
Well, and it's a little bit more than that. What's cool about it is they actually look at your body type, what kind of fat you have now, and they know how much you can or can't lose. So they're not going to ever put you in a horrible spot.
I've read somewhere that some athletic commissions were thinking about instituting doing several weigh-ins, but for me, that says if I'm an athlete, if I'm a fighter, that means I'm just going to cut weight to varying degrees 3 times instead of just once. Because they are going to, even people that are not bucking the system, that are not taking things for performance enhancing, the mindset of an athlete is always to do whatever they have to do within the rules to get every advantage, that they can. I love the idea of what you thought. You said, hey, if you're 155 pounds and you are a quote unquote a professional, well, then you should be professional. The only thing that as a professional fighter that you can control is your weight.
Well, I believe what Mike was saying is when you say, "Hey, I can't make 155," well,
You
then I
don't get
guess
another
You don't
shot
get
at
another
it.
shot. No,
Right,
no.
I guess you can
So,
never make
so
155
let's
again.
say
I would even-
Mike's idea comes to fruition. How does that come about to become like a law or whatever? Like, is it something that's voted on by citizens, or is that something that like
No, that'd be voted upon in the ABC. Every year they have a basically a week long meeting.
And what's the
different
ABC?
speakers, different things like that. The Association of Boxing Commissions.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah. So, and the big topic of discussion was that one hand or two hands down this year, and eventually I think the debate of the weight cut is going to be a big topic, and I just think that it's something they have to institute if we're going to adopt to where the amateurs aren't going to cut weight, which I like. I think it should be the same thing for the pros. You sign a contract. You have trainers and different people, then you need to be on the right path to make your agreed upon weight that you sign the contract for.
So one
And if you're not
strike and
gonna
that's
hit
it.
I think that
Absolutely.
I think one thing that would be good is if you sign a contract that let's just say that you're a fighter and you sign a contract. This is for professional now that you're going to fight within like what's reasonable? 8 weeks, 10 weeks?
8 weeks. Let's say 8 weeks.
8 weeks. You're going to fight at 155 pounds. Just as, you have people coming in doing random checks, you should be able to have an athletic official come there and be like, you have to be within a certain amount of weight of that 155 pounds to make sure you're doing it safe.
What does Pennsylvania test for? Do they do drug tests? I heard a rumor that like Delaware doesn't even do blood tests. Is that true?
That I'm not too sure about. Delaware maybe does 1 or 2 shows a year, so
Okay.
It's just, it's not even worth a thought or a conversation because they don't do as many as they used to. When we oversaw them, yeah, they did a lot more, but they don't do much now.
Now, as far as events in Pennsylvania, it sounds like you just get to see all kinds of stuff like on a daily basis. As far as amateur wrestling or pro wrestling, right? What's the event or promoter that everybody should be keeping an eye on?
Ring of Honor.
No, everybody knows Ring of Honor. I'm talking like somebody even smaller that like somebody like puts on a good show. You got to keep an eye out for them because the presentation is good and the wrestling is good.
House of Hardcore.
Let Mike answer.
Well, I can't really answer that because, one, I don't do a lot of wrestling shows anymore like I used to. 2 is because, like he just mentioned, House of Hardcore, they may not use the same promoter every time. Yeah, that's Tommy Dreamer's brainchild, and he basically puts the show together and everything like that, but he's not the promoter.
Oh, so they have somebody different every time.
Yeah, he's going to get a local promoter. So it's basically, hey, we just need you so that we could do this legally.
Is there any boxers that you say, okay, I've seen this guy a few times, and this guy's incredibly talented, nobody knows who he is, and everybody should keep an eye out for him?
Yeah, there's 2, actually, that come to mind from the Philly area. The first one is Jaron Ennis, young up-and-coming kid, double-digit wins right now, pretty much all KOs.
What weight class is he?
I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say we're around 150, give or
Okay.
take.
And what was his name?
Ennis.
Jaron Ennis?
Ennis, Ennis.
Jaron.
And who was the other guy?
Christian Cardo, another young kid from the Philly area. He's much lighter, about 115, 120. Both tremendous talents. So, I'm looking for them to really make a splash and step up and really test their skills. There's 2 other kids from up in the Scranton area that'll be coming down to the Sands in Bethlehem, Jimmy Kelleher and Ryan Wilczak. And they're both phenomenal talents that they both train with Gene Reed, the Scranton Boxing Club, and the Irish Boxing Club, I should say. But they need to be tested. A lot of these young kids seem like, to me, they're just, building that record like a lot of them do.
Sure.
No disrespect to them at all because I think they're great talents, but I want to see them step in with somebody that is going to really test them and take them the full 6 or 8 rounds or whatever they're going to be doing.
Do you see some guys with amateur records that are just like high numbers? Because I've seen some fights where this guy's an amateur fighter and he's like 40-1. Like, is there a point where you say you have to go pro?
No, I mean, well, are you talking about boxing or MMA?
Boxing. We'll just stay in the boxing world for now.
Boxing. Well, see, boxing. We don't handle the boxing amateurs. Okay, that's the Mid Atlantic. That's the USA Boxing.
Okay.
So the only time I see those amateur kids is when we do a pro-am show, and there's, I think, a very good reason, why the amateur boxers have so many fights. That's because they're getting prepared for that next level. You look at the guys in the Olympics and Floyd Mayweather. What was his amateur record?
Yeah,
He probably had a really good amateur record.
Yeah, he was
30, 40 fights almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to the demographics, though. That speaks to me to the demographics because MMA is a young sport, and what's the fan base? Younger people, 20, maybe 35-year-olds, and younger, where the attention span is younger. It's all like now.
Yeah, I
right
need
now.
this now because
everything now.
We're friendly with some fighters, and guys will fight like 2 or 3 amateur fights, and they're like, "Okay, I'm going to go pro now." I'm like, "Well, why?"
Whereas boxing, at least in the United States, is an older demographic, and you also look at it, a boxer will have the same trainer for most of his career and will guide him. Whereas MMA, it's very common to jump teams and all. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, Todd. You had a question.
Somebody online asked what do you think about the new proposed weight change or weight classes?
For UFC?
Oh, well, that would be with the Ali Act. Yeah.
Because they're talking like 205 to 235 and 170.
And he said is that through the ABC that they would do that?
That is actually a combination, I believe. And I think that's good, especially for the UFC. I think that's great.
Especially for heavyweights.
Yeah.
That's a huge
205 to 265, that's huge.
Absolutely.
Now, we haven't had a UFC event in Philadelphia since Forrest Griffin versus
Anderson Silva.
And that's probably, 7-8 years?
Oh. Yeah, well, we're going to be in Pittsburgh on the 16th.
Okay.
They're coming to the PP&G arena out there. Luke Rockhold and David Branch is the main event.
That's a good fight.
It is.
Yeah.
Does the size of the building create more headaches for you, or is it just a show as a show?
A show's a show.
So
that same night though, I'll be actually in Philly for the CFFC show.
Okay.
That's going to be a really good card too. And then in November we have Bellator coming up at Penn State.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
That's Ryan and Helen are doing the
matchmaking
for that. One of the fun things I had at the last event is because I get to walk in behind, and we'll go back to events. I remember Mike walking up to me. This is the first interaction I ever had with Mike. He goes, "Can you just not talk so much up there?" Like that was the first thing he's ever said to me.
I've been saying that for years.
I'm like, you know what? I can do that.
I've been saying that for years.
So last event, Ryan's like, well, just interview everybody. I'm like, I don't want Mike being mad at me. Let's just talk. I said I'll just interview people as we go. But one of the things we had was a new announcer, right?
Oh God.
Yeah. And
listen, I'm just trying to forget about him.
No. and to his defense, he had never done it before, and it was all new to him. But I remember every time I walked around the side,
Frankie Yeager.
Frankie Yeager. Mike had the card, and he's like, "This is how you need to say it. Repeat it back to me." And it would be completely different coming back.
They should have just given me the damn stick.
And just
I
looking at the
frustration
on Mike's face as he was getting this repeated back to me, he's like, "No, say it like this."
Easily, I could have done
like 4 or 5 times. And then he got out, and I remember walking out, and I look at Mike, and I just kind of like,
They should have just, I had a funny story about the last event too, because the audio video guys were just having a ton of problems. So I'm up on a ladder trying to gimmick up their projector, and I was kind of in the right next to the door.
And just so you know, Mike Bullitt has 11 pins in his foot from falling off a ladder from 30 feet high 2 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm up there working with the ladder, and I'm just laughing at just basically you were giving the business to everybody. If anybody from the crowd's talking shit, you come to us, you don't interact with them. We're here for you guys. And
well, we had the issue like 2 events ago
And
where
then you referenced it.
there were the white guy was like being real racist. And you
saying
guys
stupid
came
stuff.
over like out of nowhere. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
State guys are gonna fuck some shit up.
yeah, you were right on him. You're like, you need to get the hell out of here right now. Like, you need to leave.
90% of the time, I am the smallest person in the arena, but I have no problem.
But those are the people you got to watch out for. Those are the people you got to watch out for.
Yeah. We were at a show at Harrah's a few months back.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big to-do.
Is that the one like where's Harris in Chester?
The main event.
Is that in Chester?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And the main event is about to come out, and a big fight breaks out in the crowd, and I kicked out half the crowd. I don't care. I was close to clearing out the entire room, and that main event was going to go on in front of the 3 judges, the referee, and their corners, and that was it. Nobody was going to see who won. I don't put up with nonsense from in the crowd. I don't care if you're drunk, you're sober, you're a kid, you're a woman. You don't treat people like that to the point where they're getting upset and they're going to start to retaliate. It's
not about you. You are a spectator, and you should act like one. Sit in your seat, enjoy the fights, and and don't.
But what I like about Mike is he's all business.
Well, he's got to be.
And he's like, you're going here. Like the last event, there was a dude who was standing up near us, and he was talking, and he says something to Mike, and Mike's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Get in the back." And the dude just put his head down and just walked back.
Yeah.
Like he's just like a puppy getting yelled at. He's like, okay.
There was a couple times, like when he first announced, he's like, yeah, Mike's from the athletic commission's coming on. I'm like, yeah, I've never talked to him because he's always yelling at somebody. Like, I don't say anything to him. But when he showed me the picture of Shane Douglas, I'm like, hell yeah, he's a wrestling guy.
I knew Mike was going to be good to talk to when at the last event. I said something offhanded, and he said something like, fucking yeah, right. And I was like, okay, like he's the normal dude. Like he's not just yelling at people for the sake of yelling at people.
Well, you have to assert a level of authority and give absolutely zero wiggle room, because if you give any of these guys an inch, they will take a country mile. And you have, you're representing the state athletic commission. You're not representing.
Yeah, there should be no special exceptions. Everybody treated the same, because the exception is the same for everybody, or the expectation is the same for everybody. You got to follow the rules. You got to turn in your shit. Got to weigh in. You got to do everything you're supposed to, and that's it.
What is your favorite part of the job, and what is your least favorite part of the job? I'm going to give a generic question. Todd asked it.
Fine. My favorite part of the job is actually working the events. Seeing fights, getting paid to watch fights.
Right.
My least favorite part of the job is probably all the paperwork that goes along with it.
Is there a lot of paperwork? There's got to be a shitload.
Oh yeah, there's the paperwork just doesn't stop. It's crazy.
Well, that's the kind of age we live in.
Hey,
but you could be working at Verizon, right?
I could be, and I could be having people yell at me instead of me yelling at people.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Like, it's very rare. And how long did your dad do it before you jumped in and did it as well? Does your dad still do it?
Actually, yeah. From time to time, he helps out. He is the longest reigning inspector that we have. He's actually been there before Greg was even hired, and Greg's been here over 26 years.
Does your dad report to you now?
He does.
Yeah. When you can take this pebble from my hand, you too will be master.
And here's one for Bullet. My dad has been an inspector when we used to have to go in and license the pro wrestlers.
Oh, that was back in the day before Vince McMahon said it's just a sports entertainment. Any good Bruno stories? Any good Bruno stories?
No.
Damn it.
No, but I tell you what, the best story I have about a wrestler is I met Mick Foley at Scranton, Pennsylvania at the CYC, and he was trying to go out and make a phone call. And I told him, I said, hey, they're going to mob you if you go out there. He goes, well, I have to make a phone call. You could make it for me. I said, okay. Who do you need me to call? He goes, well, is Clark Summit the same area code as Scranton? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, call this number and tell her Dude Love is going on second.
Nice.
Okay. So I go make this phone call. I said, is so-and-so there? She goes, yep, this is her. I said, Dude Love told me to call and tell you that he's going on second and bring the kids around back. Oh, my God, click.
Is that his wife?
No, a friend of his that he went to college with. And to this day, he still owes me the quarter for the phone call.
Do you want me to tweet him that and say, hey?
Oh, I've told him many times. He just keeps forgetting.
Well, to be fair, The Rock did beat the hell out of him with a steel chair to the back of his head. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So you've probably met all kinds of famous people over the... How long have you been doing it?
Full time since last June. But since I came back from Arizona and Greg hired me, about 8 years now.
So you've probably met all kinds of crazy famous people, and
oh yeah,
we're gonna keep digging deeper next time we get Mike on the show.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll have you in studio, and what we'll do is we'll have you drinking more, because everybody is always more sensible.
Oh, absolutely.
When they drink.
Yeah. Loose lips.
Nobody's watching. Don't worry.
There you go.
We'll edit it all out. Don't worry. If you're...
Well, I'm Mike. I'm super happy I asked you to come on the show.
Thank you very much.
And anybody that's listening,
yeah, I appreciate it.
I think the part of that I wanted Mike to come on to do is just share some education, because a lot of people don't understand everything they're seeing. Like when they're at the fights, they don't understand what the state folks are doing. They don't understand some of the rules. And
I got to be honest, if I could just interject here.
Interject.
I think a lot of the fans don't understand what the fighters are doing, so I don't think they can appreciate that the support system of the Athletic Commission, the inspectors, the referees, the judges, I would be very surprised if they have any idea. I think the best way to look at a judge is the third athlete in the ring who has to make split-second decisions that could save potentially their life.
Same with the referee.
That's what I just said.
You said judge.
I said referee.
No.
No, you said judge.
You said judge. This guy's state commissioner. He said you said judge.
I'm going to let that slide. Look. But yeah, but the referee has to make some very fast decisions.
There's a lot of responsibility.
A huge amount of responsibility.
Yep.
And I do like how you're seeing retired fighters becoming judges. You see that already in, I believe it's New Jersey with Almeida. I know Almeida is a judge now who has, I mean, God, you talk about a high level and intimate knowledge of the sport. But I do like how it's the direction that it's going. I think that you still see MMA still suffering the effects of its original marketing of, one man leaves and two men enter, that kind of crap. I would love to see elbows to the head from the ground removed, because I don't feel that it's a fight stopper. I feel you're just cutting an opponent. I would like to see one hand removed, just because you do give fighters the opportunity to stop a fight or the progression of a fight. But honestly, that's just my opinion. I'm sure you have a much more educated one on that. But again, thank you very much for coming on
Mike,
to our
we're
show.
super happy to have you on. And
no problem.
I think next event we go out for beers with Mike.
Maybe Bullet can send him out with a little Ric Flair.
A little Ric Flair here for him? What should I do here? I just got to hold on. Let me think about this here, because Nature Boy is still getting a little bit better. When I talk the talk and I walk the walk, the only thing that you need to be inspecting is the long limousine filled with all the girls. Woo! What a piece. There's a reason why I've got $600 shoes on. I don't know how much those cost, but I'd be embarrassed to wear them.
Mike, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
If you're going to be sharing the show,
it.
it's going to be on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio tomorrow. The show's already up on YouTube tonight, so you'll be able to share that with everybody. You can go back and watch it.
Just be like, fast forward to this part.
But we super appreciate it. And we see it all the events, and I'm so glad we finally connected and had some conversations.
Absolutely.
Sancha, thank
Anytime.
you.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Take care, man.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
That was fun.
We're not done the show yet.
We're not done.
Oh, we're not?
No, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah, we're going to end it.
We're not going to end it
it's
just
gonna
yet.
End. It's going to end.
Very cool guy.
Yeah, I liked having him on. He's a good dude.
Your butthole tensed up so much when he says, "Oh, I'm a huge pro wrestling fan."
No, I already knew it.
So we're not going to
Son of
talk
a bitch.
too much about pro wrestling on this show, but we are going to have.
We're starting some new stuff.
We're starting some new stuff. So because Chris is thinks everything's about him.
Yes.
No, but we're starting another.
Sometimes we disagree on what we'd like to present
no,
on the
but
show.
basically,
Not in a bad way.
no. It's just that we're going to
We have
start.
different interests.
We're going to start another audio podcast, basically coming at you podcast takeout show
There will be video as well.
on some of them.
Short events.
We don't want to limit what it's going to be. Basically,
10, 15-minute shows, half hour, like short stuff.
half hour.
Yeah, like just tidbits.
Basically,
Takeout.
when I want to talk about pro wrestling for the most part,
You can talk about it.
that's what I'll talk about on that one.
When I want to do something, I can do what I like to do.
I already have an interview recorded with a great band from Baltimore, Lovey.
That's going to be up this weekend.
Yeah, that'll be up this weekend as well. Maybe next week, maybe like on Monday, because I don't want to take away too many from downloads from here. But for band interviews and things like that, that will be the show that I'll do a lot of the band interviews on, because this way, I feel that this should be more topical, pop culture, more fun type of stuff. I feel that the takeout show is going to be more for stuff about pro wrestling that I can expound on, or
Not
maybe
even pro wrestling, just other stuff. Like we're going to do yoga with Amanda.
Yeah, that'll be a takeout show.
Todd and I. What was the one thing we were talking about? Like you're going to hand me stuff, and I got to figure out what it is.
Yeah, but friend Martin,
we got all kinds
if
of
friend
stuff.
Martin wants to come on and talk about pro wrestling,
Yeah, absolutely.
that would be something that
We're
would
gonna
be a lot easier.
We're expanding.
Well, basically,
We're like the universe.
we're expanding our footprint of sports and entertainment.
Sports and entertainment. And you know what? I think it's going to be awesome. People should keep a lookout. If you like the show, please start sharing the show on a regular basis. Force feed it to your friends.
Had a lot of whiskey.
Most people that stop and take a minute to listen to us think it's okay, right? It's not bad to watch and listen. But to get people to listen to us, we need everybody's help to share, right?
Yeah, just go. I think the biggest thing is to go onto iTunes and give us a really good review. Go on our Facebook pages.
Yeah, just let people know that you listen to us.
Go on Facebook, give us a like. Go on YouTube, follow us. There's a lot of work that goes into this stuff, that behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And
next week we have Russ Gatton, who is the owner of the Philadelphia Comedy Club.
yeah,
So
we're gonna go there.
We're gonna have Russ on. The following week we have Diana Caravas and
Caravas. She just.
Dante Rivera. In 2 weeks.
Are they coming in studio?
I hope so. And then we don't have anybody lined up for the week after that, but we got some. We're working on having guests all the time.
Gotta be
And
honest.
If you know somebody interesting,
I feel like
send them our way.
I feel like if like Dante's in here, he might like feel like the fact that I'm an alpha male.
Yeah, you're just oozing machismo, and that might just be too much.
It might be too much
It
for
might
him.
be too much.
Now, if he does come in here, I'll completely backpedal because like that's what I do. But no, she just won a fight. She's got another fight coming up.
Yeah, and she's so nice, and she's genuine, and we just like having more people on. So
She is definitely.
we had Popo and Jesse on last
Definitely
week.
our
Go back and listen to that show. If you know somebody interesting that you think we might want to talk to, usually our first interaction would be kind of awkward, but we get better every time.
You know who we haven't had on a little bit?
Who?
Fucking Nick Grinups.
Nick's gonna be coming on too.
When?
Maybe he'll come in next week. I'll ask
with the
him.
comedy. It can be a comedy special.
Yeah,
Coming at you podcast comedy
comedy event.
comedy event.
But please share the show. Let people know that you listen to us. We've been doing this for about 6 years now, and
Guess
we're
what?
right on the edge about just taking it to the next level.
Next month will be 6 years.
Next month will be 6 years, and
Tomorrow.
and we're so close to just taking it to the next level where Bullet and I won't have to have regular jobs anymore, and that's what we want.
You can leave your wife.
We want to be
and
like
I can
Mike.
leave my family, and we could all just be like, "Fuck you!" And
We want to be like Mike and do something you enjoy versus something you don't
I'm
enjoy.
gonna call him up and be like, "You need to help me. I want to work the pro wrestling events."
Yeah, you could check people's jock straps.
You don't think I would?
I know you would.
Easily.
Yeah, with your mouth.
I'll sniff them.
On that note, thank you for listening. Please share the show.
Goodbye.